Let's mute these guys. And we'll mute these guys. And there should be a few left. Let's mute these guys. And some of you are wondering again, why do we use so many tracks? I mean, that's one of the advantages of working on a computer. If these were full tracks, the full length of the song, then that would be one thing. But these small little snippets here aren't really shouldn't really disturb the processing too much. So let's go on section one, and we're going to talk a little bit about stem mixing. Let's just listen to this first section.
It doesn't matter what you see. It doesn't matter how you feel. It's gonna get better after a while.
Alright, so that's the first line of my tune.
It doesn't matter what you see.
So the first thing I want you to notice here is that from a plugin standpoint, on the individual or basically raw tracks, there are no plugins here. None whatsoever. And the reason that we don't do that is that basically all these parts are the same. And as I mentioned earlier in our introduction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of these. Actually, I'm playing way back. Too many. So let's get rid of that guy. So we have 6. And although this part is in unison, we laid 6 of them. And now I want you to take a look at where they are from a panning perspective. So just above what would be 9 o'clock and what would be 3 o'clock if you were looking at it on an actual clock. So just off to the left and right, but they're not as far panned as they could be. But also want you to notice that we are sending all these tracks out to the same submix pair or bus or whatever you want to call it. Essentially, in this case, it's a bus. We're using 15 and 16, and even if you have a very small setup, whatever DAW you're using should allow you to create these stereo buses that you can then send to another output. Logic does it a little bit differently. But what that's going to allow you to do, again, since there are no plugins here, there's still treatments that we need to do here. So in terms of EQ and compression and reverbs, I could do them all to the same track, or I could use auxiliary buses. We do, again, what's called stem mixing. So let's go down here to my stereo pairs and let's look at 15 and 16 and see what we've done. So I have compression, EQ, and a reverb here. Let's play this again.
It doesn't matter what you see. It doesn't matter how you feel.
And while we're doing that, let's take a look at the EQ.
After a while.
You'll see what we've done here is actually, for the way that this background vocal was done, we actually added a little more high end, but we cut a whole lot of low end out of it, which again, I would say this is a fairly common treatment. But the nice thing about Logic too is it allows me to get a look at what's going on.
It doesn't
I can kind of see where a lot of things are occurring, so you can kind of see where I wanted to keep the curve here below. The analyzer is pretty slick to let you know where things are occurring. So if you're going to add or cut things, you can kind of see where they are. It doesn't matter how you feel, it's gonna get better. So we'll just leave this out here for a moment, and then let's go and look at what we did with our compression on this track. Nothing too aggressive, but with background vocals, especially when you have multiple parts, we always compress them. It helps to make it tighter. It allows us to kind of control the punchiness or the bounce that you're going to get. So that's also something that's pretty important. So I want to go back and let's go ahead and pull up the reverb, and then we're going to take these out section by section. I want you to see some of the settings. We started with a basic medium room, and these are all defaults that come with Logic. We use a lot of UAD plugins as well, but for the purposes of this discussion, I wanted to go with things out of the box. With reverb, we may play with things like the spread and the mix, but rarely do we ever use a whole lot of reverb. If you find yourself needing a lot of reverb, then what you're going to want to do then, in my opinion, is then start to cut down the reverb time, so you can have a lot of wetness to the part that's playing, but then cut that reverb off a lot sooner so it's not ringing out, but you can have a lot of depth while it's playing. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So let's go and put each one of these into bypass and then play this part back. And let's start with the EQ and
It
see the
doesn't
impact.
matter what you see. It doesn't matter how you feel. It's gonna get better
So you'll see
after
when it's in
a
bypass mode, it's a lot
while.
deeper. You can hear a lot more so that
It
hollowness from the
doesn't
low end.
matter what you see. It doesn't matter how you feel. It's gonna get better
So,
after
and for
a
those of you who are curious, you can
while.
just draw these in. You don't. It's really not that big a
It
deal.
doesn't matter what you see. It
Again, so
doesn't
we have our
matter how
listen.
you
Let's go
feel.
and listen
It's
now.
gonna get
Take our compression up.
better after a while. It doesn't matter what you see. It doesn't matter how you feel.
So you can
It's
see that
gonna
what
get
the compressor is
better
doing is actually
after
giving
a
the background vocal more
while.
presence in our mix.
It doesn't matter what you see.
And
It
now
doesn't
lastly with the
matter
reverb.
how you feel. It's gonna get better after a while.
So pretty simple treatment. Actually, we could actually
It
bring this
doesn't
down a
matter
little bit.
what you see. It doesn't matter how you feel. It's gonna get better after a while.
And so again, one of the main requirements you have is that your vocalist is able to basically give you pretty much a similar performance. So now let's work our way into the next section that we have, which is actually pretty small. And let's go find that part here. So that's going to be these guys. We're going to mute them, and then we're going to take all of section 2 and solo that. So let's see what we have.
You gotta believe. You gotta
So
believe.
pretty simple section, but notice from a busing standpoint, they're going out to the same stereo bus. So that means that they're going to get the exact same treatment in terms of EQ, compression, and reverb. But difference that you'll notice is there's less of these. There's only 4 of these. There's 6 of the first part, only 4 of the second part. And that, again, is because we wanted more emphasis on the first line that was sung, a little less on the other one, so we put less voices out there. The other thing we did is we panned it a little further left and right, so it is more in a position of where it creates sort of the illusion um, that the second part, the lesser part, is answering the first part. So let's go and kind of listen at both of them together then.
It doesn't matter what you see. It doesn't matter how you feel. You gotta believe. It's gonna get better after a while.
So you kind of get the idea there. So with that part of it being done, we actually can move through this probably a little more quickly. I think you may be getting the idea. So what we're going to do now, we're going to look at section 3. We're going to solo that again. Same stereo pair being used, but now the panning is even more aggressive left and right. So we started at 36, we moved to 46, and now we're all the way out to 64 with this third part. So let's go and take a look at what we have. And again, because I've organized these and marked them by sections, they're much easier to find and much easier to work with.
After a while.
Pretty simple.
After a while. After a while. After a while.
So let's go and add in these other sections.